Today we will start a new lesson, Grandfather's Many Faces. This short story is written by Ruskin. In this we will get to know in details about the author's grandfather and how the grandfather was expert in disguising himself. Disguise means that his grandfather would change his clothes and facial get-up in such a way that the other people may get confused and will not recognize him at all. His grandfather had a talent of dressing up as other people and act out their personalities so well that even his friends and relatives were fooled by him. Grandfather loved surprising everyone else through his art of disguise. Sometimes he became a street vendor or a carpenter or a washerman and so on. And people could not recognize it was him until grandfather revealed the secret. Grandfather dressed like the Anglo-Indians or Englishmen. He wore a bush shirt, khaki shorts, and sometimes a solar topi or sun helmet. Bush shirts are loose-fitting shirts with large pockets. Khaki is a color meant here. Solar topi is a hat to be worn out in sun and it is made of solar peat. But if we looked through the clothes he had in his cupboard, we will find dhotis, lungis, pajamas, embroidered shirts, colorful turbans, and many other types of clothing. In order to pretend of being different people, he needed different types of clothes. If grandfather wants to pretend he is a Maharaja, he needs colorful turbans, silk clothes, a lot of jewelry. And if he wanted to pretend he was a beggar, he had to wear old torn and dirty clothes, and he also had a brush begging bowl. He used this bowl only once when he was pretending to be an old beggar. With his back bent forward in the bazaar, he was not recognized at all. Grandfather explained why begging is a difficult profession. A beggar has to be on the street all day, no matter how hot or cold it is. And a successful beggar needs to remain patient and polite. If a beggar is rude, no one will give the beggar anything. As begging involves a lot of hard work, grandfather says he would never recommend anyone to take a begging as a profession. But grandfather did not use any makeup on his face to change how he looked. For him, his healthy tanned skin, a fake mustache or a fake beard and a change of hairstyle helped him to look different, along with suitable clothes. One day, to entertain the author, the grandfather becomes a Tongawala. Tonga is a horse cart. Grandfather borrows a tonga from one of his friends and takes the author for a short yet fun ride around the town. On their way, they picked some customers as well. One of them being Dr. Beast, who was their local doctor. At first, the doctor failed to recognize grandfather. But when he saw the narrator along with him, he immediately understood that the grandfather had tricked him. After the rites, at the end of the day, the grandfather dutifully gave the rupee earned to the tonga owner. Dr. Beast was so confused to see the narrator riding the tonga as well. He asked him Why isn't he in school at the time of day? To which the author responds that he was helping his grandfather as a part of his science project. The doctor then carefully looks once more at the Tonga driver and realizes that it was grandfather. He begins laughing and jokingly asks for a free ride. Once grandfather drove Granny to the bank on a Tonga with a white horse. Grandfather was disguised as the Tonga driver and Granny could not recognize him. He did his trick because Granny was superstitious about white horses and avoided such. But since grandfather was also skillful in driving the Tonga cart, Granny lost her fear of white horses. One winter, Gemini Circus came to perform in the narrator's town. Grandfather liked circuses and circus people, and soon he became good friends with all the circus artists. The owner, the ringmaster, the lion tamer, the pony riders, clowns, trapeze artists, and acrobats. Grandfather always wanted to join a circus when he was young and wished to be an animal trainer or a ringmaster. But his parents wanted him to become an engine driver instead. The author asks if driving engines are fun. To this, grandfather says that lions are safer than driving engines. The author and his friends Melanie and Gautam spent the evening suspecting each one of the performers to be his grandfather. They were impressed by the performances, how the tigers were doing a drill, how beautifully dressed men and women were on the flying trapeze, how daringly did the motorcyclist cross a hoop of fire, and so on. But amidst all these, they kept looking for grandfather among the performers. Behind them sat the mayor, a Maharaja, an Englishman with military bearing, some nuns, and Gautam's class teacher, so they could not talk loudly. Gautam asked if grandfather is the lion tamer, to which the narrator says that grandfather has no experience with lions and is instead good with tigers, but someone else was in charge of the tigers. Melanie guesses if grandfather was among the jugglers, but the narrator realizes that his grandpa was much taller than them. So Gautam makes an interesting guess. What if grandfather is the bearded lady? The trio looked hard and long at the bearded lady until Gautam asked her if she was Ruskin's grandfather. To this, the bearded lady laughs deeply and jokes that she is his grandpa's girlfriend. Soon a clown came up and Melanie asked him if he was grandfather, but the clown just grinned and somersaulted backwards. They all gave up after they realized that even the dancing bear was a real bear and both the lions and tigers were actually lions and tigers. They were convinced that grandfather had fooled them into thinking that he was present in the circus. When the author confronts his grandfather about his absence, grandfather says that he was present among the audience. In fact, he was sitting just behind him, Melanie and Gautam. The only thing was, this time he didn't opt for any disguise. He was a smart-looking Englishman sitting between the Maharaja and the nuns.